little guy who's got the cat. His thing says Web Vault videos. Love that. I've been looking at that. And there's some chick on here, McKenna Marr, who's got awesome lights in the background. And I love that. You know, I am a teenager at heart, girl. Feel that. And then there's some little guy named iPhone that's got a cool hat on. So don't think I don't pay attention to you guys, because I do. I love what I do. I have 2 children of my own. One is 14. He refuses to bathe and shower. I guess that's a boy thing. Yeah, especially now that he's not in school and he's online. The showering thing is going down the drain. So anyway, I have a 21-year-old. This will kind of put things in perspective. I have a 21-year-old child that is gay, that is beautiful and amazing, and a 14-year-old who just lives at my house, I guess. I just throw food in his room. Anyway, so my name is Sherry Barnett. I am a nurse practitioner. I have a bachelor's in science and nursing, a master's of science and nursing, a postmaster's as a nurse practitioner, and I'm working on my doctorate. I'm a doctoral candidate for a primary mental health nurse practitioner. And why do I tell you all that? Because we don't usually look at educated people as being a drug addict, right? So I get told a lot I don't look like a drug addict. Well, I am, but what we call it nowadays is substance use disorder. I actually, TikTok just said, Wolf Lover started following you. Oh my God. I am a TikTok fan, by the way. I just made 3 TikTok videos, if you've not heard that. One is about sobriety. One is about recovery. So I'm getting into this TikTok thing because you guys remind me about TikTok. I can see every one of you all doing one of those little dances to that music. What's her name? Addison Rae. See, I've done my homework on TikTok now, but anyway, I am a nurse practitioner. I work for Sullivan County Anti-Drug Coalition, so I'm usually not at loss for words, but I'm trying to give you the important parts without boring you. So this month I celebrate 6 years sobriety on the 21st. 6 years ago, my clinic was raided by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation because I was writing a lot of scripts for a lot of pills that went up my nose. So yes, that is snorting drugs. So after that, I went to federal prison in Alderson, West Virginia, and came back and got my license back and work in mental health, substance abuse, and it's sort of my passion. Whereas you guys hear mostly about prevention, and guys, the term just say no to drugs and you're like, yeah, whatever, right? We know that doesn't work. And we know that this is your brain on drugs, an egg, that doesn't work either. I work on the tail end of what Jillian tries to prepare you for. I'm what we call a harm reduction activist. So what does that mean? That means I meet people where they are. So let's say, I'm going to say this, Emmy, is that right? Emmy, let's say somehow Emmy's mother or her got involved in substance use. Everybody's telling her, you should have just said no, blah, blah, blah. People don't respond to that, do they, Emmy? They think when you tell somebody they shouldn't be doing something, there's already a guilt and a shame associated with that. So what I do is meet people where they are. So that means if they're still using, I don't try to shame and guilt them. You know, sometimes when we do something wrong and our mom or dad grounds us and shames us and guilts us, it pisses us off. It makes us even more angry. It doesn't make us not want to do it in the future. So, you know, I've learned quite a bit about disciplining my own kids through what I've experienced. If you can imagine, I was snorting about 50 pills a day. So, and running a practice and being a parent and trying to function. So that didn't work out all that well. So what I do now is I am the Regional Overdose Prevention Specialist. What does that mean? Is I go around and talk to people about overdose awareness. So just a thumbs up if you know somebody or within the 6 degrees of your reach, somebody that's suffered or suffering from substance abuse? Does anybody know anyone? No? Okay. Well, I will tell you that people that you may not even know may be suffering. They may be sitting right beside you. Maybe your parent or your grandparent. It may be an aunt or an uncle. It involves alcoholism, pain pills, everything. So, do you guys have your Narcan kits? Did you all get those? So let's talk about overdose awareness. So we know that overdoses are occurring more rapidly than car wrecks. So more people are dying from overdoses than they are car wrecks in the state of Tennessee. So as part of harm reduction of saving someone's life, I distribute Narcan. That box of Narcan that you have in front of you is about $150 kit. So let's see. Mia, have you got yours? Show it to everybody. So this is what Narcan looks like. Okay, it is a nasal spray. So let's talk about some things about first. That's okay. Web Vault videos, that is okay. You know your name's Web Vault videos. Anyway, what do overdoses look like? So you can have people that are over medicated, right? You've probably seen them at a grocery store. You've probably seen them in waiting rooms, in Walmart. These are people that speech is slurred, their eye movement is slow. What else do you think, McKenna, could be one? People that are over medicated that aren't quite overdosing. Go ahead and unmute there, McKenna. Come on, girl, you can do it. I have faith in you. We've got 35 more minutes. What about you, Mia? What do you think someone who's over medicated would look like? Have you ever seen somebody out in town?
Yeah, they kind of walk slowly, and you can tell that they don't really notice what's going on around them very much, or
They look drunk, right? They look high. And we kind of know what that looks like because we've seen television shows, right? Okay, now let's talk about overdosing. Does someone have to be dead to be overdosing? Yes, Web Vault videos, you are correct. Sometimes, thank you. Sometimes it can be the complete opposite, depending on what drug they're on. You are absolutely right. Thank you. So we have two drug categories, right? We have amphetamines and opiates. Amphetamines, they might be what we call tweaking. So Web Vault videos, tell us what you think someone looks like when they're on an amphetamine like meth. Tell us what you've seen if you've not seen it. You said that it could be the totally opposite. I don't know. Okay, well, you brought it up and it was a great thing. So the opposite is they're speaking really fast. They're picking and I mean, it could, you are absolutely right. When people are in addiction or substance use disorder, they usually use what we call polysubstances. And what do you think that means, Grace?
Just different substances at once.
Right, we don't discriminate, right? That's okay. I'll get back to you, Web Vault videos. I'll find out your name before we're done too. So so usually when people are in addiction, if their drug of choice is not available, they will try different substances. So it's Jonathan. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so I've been, Mr. Wine, can you tell me how to pronounce your first name?
Issachar.
Issachar, that is beautiful. I love that. So what do you think people look like when they're overdosing, Issachar? Don't know? Let's see. What about Carter? Carter, what do you think people would look like if they're overdosing?
Maybe like they're choking or something,
Yes,
turning a little purple or something.
absolutely. Do people have to be dead to be overdosing?
Uh, I think so. I don't know.
No, the answer is no. So, but you're right on board. So when someone overdoses, they can still have a pulse. They can still be breathing. Rachel's like, oh my God, she's going to call on me next. That they can still be breathing, have a pulse, snoring in their sleep, and still be overdosing. You can pull up beside someone in the car in the Walmart parking lot, right? And they slumped over the steering wheel. If you cannot wake someone up, you know that some beautiful chick on a Zoom told you that people do overdose and there's a high rate of it. So what you're going to do, maybe as a good Samaritan, is try to wake that person up. But you say, wait, they're breathing, they have a pulse, I'm going to go on my way. No, they could be overdosing. So what we're going to do is try to do a sternum rub on them. Does anybody know what a sternum rub? Yes, cars do get hot fast. Does anybody know what a sternum rub is? It's where you take your middle finger and grind it in someone's chest, like this. Can you all see that? It's like a knuckle sandwich in the chest. And basically that's a move that we use in healthcare settings. What it does is it encourages movement from the person. It causes a certain amount of pain and it causes the person to move. So if you cannot wake a person up, regardless if they're breathing, have a pulse, or snoring, then that's when we're going to utilize our Narcan, okay? So if you have your Narcan, I believe Mia showed it to us, and it was a nasal spray. The first key thing we want to learn is you do not wait till someone's dead to Narcan. Scary, isn't it, to think about somebody passed out and us saving a life, but you can. I've had children as young as 8 or 9 that have told me that lived with their parents who was an addict that saved a life. So never underestimate your strength and resilience, okay? So that person's laying in the car. I've tried to wake them up. My mom is calling EMS. I say, hey, wait, Mom, I got this Narcan. Let's try this. And she may say, no, we don't know what the problem is. That's okay, because Narcan is a safe drug that you can give to anybody, anytime, anywhere, without fault, and it won't hurt anyone unless they're on opiates. Okay? Does that make sense, Evie? She's like, oh God, she's talking to me. So, doesn't matter if you know what drug they've taken. Doesn't matter if you know that they're even overdosing. You're going to try using. No, most addicts in this area, Jonathan, are not necessarily on opiates. Most in this area, substance use disorder people are on a combination of methamphetamine and opiates. So we went from, and that's a very good point. And guys, if you all have questions, I am the expert. I snorted pills. It's my job to know what's out there. So if you have questions about certain drugs or something, just chat it in. Thank you, Jonathan. In our area, it is meth. So everyone in our area think that, we're on this big marijuana binge right now. Everybody thinks marijuana is safe, and in Tennessee, it is not controlled by the FDA. So if you get weed or dab, I know there's a thing called dabbing. My son used to do it. I'm very transparent about that too. You don't know what you're getting. What we found in this area is we've had synthetic marijuana and regular marijuana that was mixed with methamphetamine and or fentanyl, which is a deadly opiate. So you may be smoking, yeah, that's really bad. You may be smoking marijuana thinking you're just going to take it easy for the day and end up overdosing. Actually, in Hawkins County, we had 5 overdoses related to just marijuana that was in the area, and I do think it was synthetic. So don't take that chance. So we know that we're not going to wait till someone's dead to Narcan, right? And second, Narcan is a safe drug. I'm not on drugs anymore. So if you were to give me Narcan, nothing would happen. It is basically an antagonist drug. Does anybody know what that means? Any clue? Antagonist?
Antagonist is like the working against the main thing. Like your protagonist is a story is your hero, and the antagonist is basically the villain. So I
Right,
guess
absolutely. So we know that Narcan is an antagonist for opiates. So the only thing that's going to grab onto is that opiate. So here we go. I'm not going to wait till someone's dead to Narcan. You better be learning these points because I'm going to ask everybody in a minute. I'm just going to call on people, make everybody nervous a little bit. The second one, it's an antagonist drug. It's a safe drug, right? The third is don't hesitate to give it because you don't know the drug. Because remember when I talked about substance use disorder people earlier? They may do meth, but we now know meth is mixed with opiates like fentanyl and Dilaudid. So if you're buying any drugs from a friend or off the street, you have no clue what you're getting. I will tell you in this area, there is, I represent 8 counties. There is a pill press somewhere, and people are getting fake pills that are truly fentanyl products. So, or heroin. Heroin seems to be on the decline and fentanyl on the rise again. So we always want to call EMS, and we always want to keep you and the person that you're giving Narcan to safe. So let's do this. What are some of the things that you've seen dramatized on TV or you've heard to do if someone is overdosing? Anybody? Has anybody ever seen on TV we throw them in a shower? Anybody ever seen that? The key is if someone is overdosing, you don't want to do anything but give them Narcan. Why is that? Because the maneuvers that you make other than Narcan can actually hurt them. A lot of people have, do you remember hearing about, I don't know, I'm old, so, but people's stomachs getting pumped if they take too much medication. They used to pump their stomachs. They don't even do that anymore. So all you really want to do is turn them on a recovery position on their side in case they have to throw up. You do not want to make them drink anything. You do not want to put them in ice water. They could go into shock. You do not want to inject them with anything. I don't care what any friend or cohort tells you. The only thing you should be doing is Narcan to keep a person safe. Now, when you give that Narcan, EMS needs to be on board. A lot of people have seen the live PD show where people are Narcaned, and what ends up happening, this person jumps out and starts fighting. Well, I will tell you, I personally have been Narcaned, and I was in so much pain when I was Narcan that I couldn't really fight back. So you may get a different scale of reactions. Basically what happens is it takes all that opiate off that receptor for a while, so every pain receptor that you have starts reacting. You become severely restless leg syndrome. A lot of people get diarrhea, start throwing up. Withdrawal is a horrible, horrible thing to go through. And a lot of people who suffer substance use disorder stay away from getting clean because so sorry about that. My son is calling. I don't know why. But you guys are more important right now. So Narcan, don't wait till someone's dead. Don't worry about what drug they're on. We're going to call EMS. What happens if we come across someone that is dead? What are we, I mean, that's blue and gray, no pulse. What are we going to do? Grace, jump on that one and tell me. What do you usually do if you come across somebody who's not breathing or have a pulse?
If you're trained, start CPR and call
Absolutely.
EMS.
Yes. Same thing with someone that you suspect of a drug overdose, because if they don't have a pulse and they are not breathing, what happens is that drug does not circulate through their system. So let's talk about Narcan. Your Narcan is a nasal spray. It's as simple as open, insert, and squirt. You don't want to open the nasal spray, but you can open your box in the top and the front. There's a little leaflet there at the very front that gives you instructions. I just read over that. And also know that when you give Narcan to someone, let's say you're at a sleepover. I'm trying to think of scenarios. If you're at a sleepover, a friend overdoses. Happens all the time. You've never really tried drugs before, but your friend says, I'm going to try this. You give, and she accidentally ODs. And she's like, and you Narcan her. And all of a sudden she wakes up, don't call my mom, don't call my mom, don't call EMS. Always call EMS. They may get in trouble, but you're going to save their life, because Narcan only works for about an hour and a half, depending on what drugs they're on. They can slip back into overdose. And I have read 2 studies where a group of girls and a group of boys, a similar situation. They were doing what we call MDMA, which is ecstasy, and they didn't know that they had a fentanyl mix with it. And the little girl woke up once and then died shortly thereafter. And I don't like those scenarios. You guys are very valuable, and someone loves you and would miss you. So there's always someone out there that can try to help. You have form a support. Jillian can always reach out to me, or you guys can, or whatever. So, have I bored you guys to death yet? Okay.
Hey, Sherry, I have a question, if that's okay if I ask one.
Yes.
I was wondering, sometimes if opioids, if they taken a lot of them and they are overdosing, their pulse can almost seem like it has stopped, and they can almost seem like they have stopped breathing, and maybe they are dead, maybe they aren't. Is it still okay in that situation just to try Narcan before CPR, or just doing
Yes. Yes, it is. But usually, if a pulse is so faint that you can't feel it, they're not circulating anyway. But yes, because you have two doses in there. So I'm going to teach you all a drug thing that probably shouldn't, but there's a thing called speedballing, and Jonathan brought this up, but where people do meth, if you do not need to worry about what drug they're on. So people in this area that do methamphetamine do not know where it comes from. They do not know where it's cooked. And right now you have what we call traffickers mixing it with fentanyl. So there's a thing called speedballing, and it's where they actually are on a roller coaster ride, and they may get real hyped up, and then they hit the ground, and somebody go, well, they didn't take any opiates. It doesn't matter. You're going to try Narcan anyway. Don't second guess it. You're not going to hurt anybody. Okay? That's the key. There's Good Samaritan laws in place to protect you and your family. And the key is to get that person safe. So don't, and Narcan's not going to hurt anyone. So, anybody have any questions so far? How many in here have heard of safe syringe exchange systems? Has anybody ever read that people give people needles that are using drugs? That we're trading your needles out? Tell me what you think about that, somebody. It's okay if you don't agree with it. Absolutely. Emmy, tell me what you think about it. So we're talking about needles, giving needles to people who use drugs so they have clean needles to use. What do you think that purpose is? Miriam?
I don't know.
Okay. So I watched a documentary last night because I am always learning about my disease and what we do. And there's a group in Africa that established an area that is outside of where these users are. And what they do is they go in and give them clean needles because HIV and Hep C was on the spread. Remember, I was talking about meeting people where they are? So we're meeting them where they are, they're still using. We're giving them clean needles so they don't spread diseases, right? So, and that goes with Narcan. We're giving you Narcan so the person doesn't die. The whole concept of harm reduction is to save a life and keep them healthy till they find recovery, and to prevent more health issues. Absolutely. Because abscesses from dirty needles, I mean, the health issues are enormous. So we have a safe syringe exchange system here in Johnson City, and they go out in communities and reach those that are using. The key of harm reduction too is to establish a relationship. So if Rachel's using, do you think she wants to hear from somebody that's going to go, you better quit using drugs, you're going to die? No, she'll probably isolate from that person. But if I talk to her and I say, hey, look, I've been there, what can I do for you to keep you safe and healthy? I may be able to establish a relationship with her and get her in recovery faster. And it does work. It shows that people, that when we show people empathy and love and meet them where they are, that's the bottom line. More people survive in recovery and have less relapses. So when you think about a harm reduction component, or you hear like prostitution or sex workers, there are people, nuns out there on the street of Los Angeles giving them condoms. Before we judge that person or who they are and tell them to stop, we have no clue what they've been through. Nobody knows that my husband died. My boys found him in our home. My husband was having issues with my son being gay. I had filed for divorce. Nobody sees that in me. All they see right now is a person in recovery. Or when I was using, what they saw was an idiot who was throwing her life away, right? So before we judge an action or that person, we really have to stand back and say, I have no clue. One of the biggest things I get from people, that other women in recovery, is I wished I could be in recovery and do the things you do. Well, we know that trauma is a part of why people suffer with substance use disorder. My trauma as a child and older is not there. I have adult trauma, but some kids or children, adolescents, have been abused. They have been hurt, and you can't really determine the amount of trauma that someone's been through and how to fix their the way they behave. So we just know that trauma and addiction go hand in hand, right? So when you see someone in addiction, the first thing I wonder is, what are they hurting from? What can I do to help them? Maybe they have what we call a co-occurring mental health disorder, right? So I'm always passionate about trying to find out why someone hurts. Maybe some therapy, medication, or whatever it takes can get someone to the driving point of wanting recovery. So does that make sense? Meeting people where they are, empathy and love. So, okay, any questions? Type them in or unmute yourself. Any questions? Okay. Jillian's going to put my information down there. Dolly is an excellent resource too. We all have children. My children have suffered my addiction with me, and my imprisonment, I will tell you that one of my children is in ETSU. And can cannabis from a store be dangerous? Yes, it can be. So what we're seeing, and I was in federal prison with several people that bought Spice, what you call Spice or Z or X2 or whatever it is. It was a what we call synthetic marijuana. The problem with that is they're usually bought from China, from certified stores. I would be careful with anything synthetic because it is not regulated through the FDA. And if it's not regulated, so I have seen somebody make synthetic, yeah, I've been around the block. I have seen somebody make synthetic marijuana. And basically what they do is they buy herbs from the grocery store and they spray it. There's no measurement, there's no anything. And the chemicals they put on it was ordered from China. You can package anything, just like bath salts. There was which is an amphetamine product that was in our area not long ago that contributed to people chewing people's faces off and domestic violence and things like that. There's so many chemicals out there because of it's a free darknet thing. I was watching that last night. You can still order chemicals offline. It is a federal offense. You get caught, you go to Alderson, West Virginia. That is the closest federal prison for women. So I don't recommend it. Like I said, I was in prison with numerous women who bought chemicals to make certain drugs and they got busted. So I know, so my son dabs. I will not lie to you, it scares the piss out of me because our brains holds on to things. He has a little bit of depression and PTSD from where everything that happened. But our brains, if I was to smoke a joint right now, I would have to smoke 10. My brain neurotransmitters are not normal. So I have to be very cautious. Anything that changes how I feel to feel euphoric, I want more. It's just like eating ice cream for me or a little bit more. So I went from doing 1 pill a day to 50 a day, if that tells you anything. So the marijuana topic is, so as harm reduction, so I'm going to go out on a limb here, but as harm reduction, if you're smoking marijuana versus other drugs, I consider that a win. But in my family, knowing the dynamics of my brain and the genetics, I am scared that it's a gateway for my child. Does that make sense? So I think you have to be careful, even if you go to any store, look where it's purchased from. So you go to CBD oil or THC, those are being more regulated. And if marijuana is eventually legalized in Tennessee, it will be more regulated and safer. But just remember, you don't know if you suffer from substance use disorder until you do once, and then you're like, oh God, I need another, right? So on the prevention side, I would say just be careful. Any other questions? Jonathan, thank you for being honest, and thank you for asking good questions. So we are here at LabCorp, where I get to pee in a cup today to make sure that I am drug-free. I get these every 2 weeks. I am still monitored and have been for the last 5 years under the Tennessee Board of Nursing to make sure that I'm still good to practice. So yeah, I mean, this is my second one in 2 weeks. They are $70. If I have a hair test, they're $300, and blood is $150. So unfortunately, my consequences are still out there for my addiction, but it also proves that we do find recovery and we do make it look good. When my hair's down, I look prettier. I don't look 50 years old. So, but I expect all you all to go follow me on TikTok. You know, I want to be famous. Just kidding. Any questions? Dolly, anything you think I missed?
I Something I don't, well, it depends on what topics you want to cover. I think the stigma classes that you do, I think it'd be a good idea to kind of put a pin or oh, what's it called when you push that out there, promote yourself and let people know that you also talk about stigma.
Right. So we also talk about stigma reduction, and that's a part of harm reduction too. Remember what I said about not judging someone? People have this thing about people that suffer from substance use disorder. They look a certain way, they do certain things or anything like that. So what I say with stigma, again, stigma is just putting your ideas of what you think something should look like on someone else. So if you think someone, okay, so we know addiction is not a moral failing. What does that mean? That means it is a disease. That doesn't mean that I could just pick up one day and quit. Your body actually has a physical and mental dependence on a drug. Trust me, I tried to quit several times. And when we start looking at someone because they are in substance use disorder, we don't see their whole background. What we do see is where they are because of their substance use disorder. So be careful of stigma. Stigma causes a lot of grief in us getting treatment and getting safe supplies to people. I don't know, Jillian's pretty famous because we were in the New York Times because we talked about teaching Narcan to you guys. And people freaked out on us and told us that we were ruining your lives by teaching you about addiction. Here's the thing. My 8-year-old, who is now 14, knew more about my addiction, where I was going, what I was doing, than most people around me. So you guys are not stupid. Actually, you're very freaking brilliant. And you guys can have an intuition within you that you all know when something's up, right, with your parents, right? You all know when something's up with a friend. So the stigma of addiction rolled over, and it's like, why don't we just let all addicts die? Well, you could have let me die, but my 2 kids wouldn't have a cool mom who supports gaming, Call of Duty, Fortnite, and does TikToks. So, but anyway, I'm going to run that in the ground. Actually, my 14-year-old told me I was a cool mom. So now my 21-year-old has guinea pigs. I had to send him some money today. So, but he lives alone. Any other questions? I thank you guys for having me. I about used up all my time. I think 2 was our cutoff. Boring mother incarnate. Yeah, well, I try not to be, well, I mean, there's some things. Listen, a boring mother is much appreciated. How would you have liked to have me as a mother? You had to go live with your grandparents for a year and and people contacting you from the news, want to know where your mom's at. Listen, I'd take a boring mom any day. But anyway, you guys are awesome. And remember that if you have problems, reach out to somebody. Jillian and Dolly and I are safe spaces. We want to give you the opportunity to ask questions. Jillian will give you my information or anything. I always try to be interactive and include you guys in this conversation because to some people who've never lived it or never walked it or never seen it, it's a foreign topic, right? But you guys are equipped to go out and save lives today, right? Without fear, you guys can save a life. And then tell Jillian and come back and tell me and I'll be so proud. But just remember how valuable you are, how loved you are. And again, you all need anything, just let me know. Okay?
Thank you so much. Will you put any kind of, whatever contact information you're willing to let them contact you with, just in case they want to use you as a resource?
Sure. I'm going to put my personal number in here. So you guys don't put it on a bathroom wall. Don't put it on TikTok, or maybe put it on TikTok. Maybe I'll get famous that way. No, if you text me, just tell me who you are, And I will be more than happy to carry on a conversation, a private conversation, unless, you know, it's someone wanting to hurt themselves, which we get my son gets those calls because he's very intuitive and empathetic to people. So.
Mhm. Can you all either use the chat box or unmute yourself and tell Sherry thank you for being here with us today and for sharing her story. As you can imagine, she has to be really brave to share her story, because the same way that I talked about that stigma, or the way that we think of people, when she comes out and says, I've been in prison, or I used to be addicted, or whatever, people aren't always like, oh, I love you, Sherry Barnett. And so just say thanks to her for being here and being bold and being brave and sharing her story.
Well, it's always my pleasure. You guys have a great semester, or whatever you call it in homeschooling. And you guys, oh, well, thank you. Yes, I'm very much loud and open. So if you guys ever need something, but thank you for having me. Jillian, I'm going to go pee in a cup
Hey,
and head home.
thank you, friend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. I'm trying to get out of here, guys.
Well, I'll wave until you're gone. Bye.